Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. Want to improve your organization's customer service? Looking for insider tips to knock your customer socks off? Then you're in the right place. Here's your host, Yannick Grant.
Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. On today's episode, we have with us John DiJulius. John is an international consultant and best-selling author of 3 customer service books. His latest book, The Customer Service Revolution, instantly hit #1 on Amazon. John works with world-class companies like the Ritz-Carlton, Lexus, Starbucks, Nordstrom, Nestle, Marriott Hotels, PwC, Cheesecake Factory, Progressive Insurance, Harley-Davidson, Chick-fil-A, and many more. John isn't just talking about it, he lives it. As a very successful entrepreneur of 2 businesses, John Roberts Spa, a chain of upscale Cleveland locations, has been repeatedly named one of the top 20 salons in America. And the DiJulius Group, a consulting firm focused on changing the world by creating a customer service revolution. John will demonstrate how we can make our customer service our single biggest competitive advantage and make price relevant. So without further delay, welcome John.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. And it's make price irrelevant.
Make price irrelevant. My sincerest apologies. Yes, that is very true. And if you really think about it, that's true because customer experience trumps price any day, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Love that.
So before we even get into the actual questions that we ask our guests so they can share, this wealth of information with us, we like to get an understanding of how our guests got to where they are today. Tell us a little bit about your past, your journey, why customer service? There are like so many other things that you probably could be doing. How did you end up in this wonderful path?
By necessity. So when my first business, me and my wife opened up a small hair salon back in 1993, and it was 4-chair, 900 square feet, and we had no money, we had no employees, and we had no customers. And we were on a strip or a street that had to have over 100 hair salons up and down within a few miles. And so the only thing I could think of to make us competitive was to invest in how we treated people, because it didn't cost as much as extensive advertising and all the traditional means back then. And we started growing so rapidly that we had to knock down a wall and expand to the next location, and then a year later get the next unit next to us, and then a couple of years later, we built a much larger facility, and then we opened another and opened another and opened another. So we found, 5-10 years later, when we had money, we had customers, and we had employees, that the best investment was still the customer experience. And so we still didn't, spend on advertising. We just invested it. So our business grew to be one of the top 20 salons in the United States. I started getting asked to speak all the time because of our rapid growth. And so I started speaking, and then that started snowballing. So my first book, Secret Service, came out in 2003. And from that point on, I went from being a salon owner that spoke a few times to being a speaker that owned a salon. And I really haven't been too involved in the salon industry ever since. And then the next book, What's the Secret, came out in 2008. And that was, more based on now from 2003 to 2008. I started working with these incredible companies. The weird thing is as you rattled off my client list, no one bad hires me, right? You'd think it would be the other way around, but it was only really great, exceptional companies. And I probably learned as much, if not more, from them than I probably was teaching them. So, now it's just spiraled into a full-fledged customer service consulting company. And that's all we do is just work with clients on their customer experience.
So it's been a wonderful journey for you, you'd say. Agreed? Now, customer experience, customer service, customer image, the branding behind it. What are your views? Because you're now running a customer consultancy business. Tell me a little bit about why you think customer experience is so important. And, as a part of your bio, it said it really makes price irrelevant. Like, if you're a small business owner and you're limited for resources in terms of cash to probably hire a company like yours, what are some everyday solutions that you think the business owner could do to still set themselves apart? And I know you'd have practical examples because you did say you were running a salon business. So I'm sure at some point you would have been in the same position that some of our listeners are probably in.
Heck, I'm still in that position. I mean, you're right. And I'm all about practical. And that's another reason why I wrote my first book, because when we were trying to be exceptional, one of my frustrations at customer service is all the books on customer service I could get my hands on and all the speakers I could listen to never gave me the practicality. They always said, treat your customer the way you want to be treated and, all those, high level platitudes, but they didn't tell me how. So, we don't want to compete in price wars. We want to compete in experience wars. And, that's really important to us. So our methodology is all based around making price irrelevant, and making price irrelevant is based on the experience you consistently deliver to your customer. They have no idea what your competition charges. And I'm price sensitive. You're probably price sensitive. And I've made the mistake driving, 3 extra miles to save 50 cents on something, right?
True.
Right. But on the flip side, there are some people I do business with as a consumer that if you were looking for, I'd say, oh, you got to use them. And you'd say, well, how much do they charge? And in a lot of cases, I couldn't tell you. I don't know. The people, the businesses I'm so loyal to, I don't know what they charge. Like I'd have to go look at my receipt or pull up an invoice, but I don't care. Like they are just so great. And I like to say discounting is the tax you pay for being average. Right. And so we don't want to be average. And so, to your first part of your question, the difference between customer service and customer experience is Jim Gilmore, great author of The Experience Economy, says it, that customer service is what you do. Customer experience is how you do it. And so the customer service, I don't care what business you're in, is a commodity. Everyone does what you do. Right. And I doubt that you're any smarter than, your top competitors. It's now you got to use that expertise and make sure we're making an emotional connection and knowing something about our customers and knowing what they need. And so, it's all about the service aptitude. How good any company is at customer service comes down to the service aptitude of their employees. And your service aptitude gets shaped. Everyone, yours, mine, and the newest hire gets shaped by 3 places: previous life experiences, previous work experiences, and current work experiences. So most of the people on this call, I doubt, like you and I, didn't grow up staying at 5-star resorts, flying first class, and driving Mercedes-Benz when they turned 16. Yet, our first jobs and a lot of times, people we hire in that same situation, we expect them to give that type of experience to our customers. And it's not fair. I mean, you just don't know what world class looks like at 19, 21, or 25 because your life experiences didn't afford it. Same thing with previous work experience. Previous work experiences, most businesses are paranoid and they want their employees to screen and not let customers take advantage of them. And then we get that employee and they've been brainwashed, not to, treat the customer, and trust the customer. It's not the employee's fault. So, we can't control the first 2 things. It's about what we do with them after we hire them. And, you won't find people with high service DNA. Don't expect to. You have to create the DNA. It's not your employee's responsibility to have high service DNA. It's yours to give it to them. You, the company, you, the entrepreneur, you have to train it. So I can get into some specific examples of how to increase their service DNA and their service aptitude. But before I just keep on rattling, I want to make sure I give you a chance if you had any questions about anything I said.
No, I am following through completely on everything you've said. And I think it's interesting you said how you could increase on their service DNA. Do you believe that if the person doesn't have the right attitude, there is that training can bring them to the level that you want to bring them to? Or do you believe it's something that comes in terms of their innate abilities, that comes naturally in terms of how they relate to other people?
That's a great question. And I believe that the vast majority of people out there, you can change. I don't believe it's innate. It's not innate for the reasons I just explained, that, we were growing up and, eating at fast food restaurants, and, we didn't have world-class experiences. So we don't know what it is like to deliver. And, our family life, depending on what we were taught, and things. You're not going to find people that were taught that. It's such a few. I love to, ask this one question to my audiences when I first start. I say, if you're going to build a world-class customer experience company, what is more important? The training and culture you bring, the training and culture you bring your new employees into, or B, the hiring? It's in a little bit of a way, it's a trick question, because the answer is both. Absolutely both. You can't have one without the other. But I always say, if you got to give 51% to one or the other, it's training and culture. Disney did not find 50,000 employees born to serve. There's not 5,000 people walking the earth born to serve, but they converted them. And one of the quotes I love that Disney says about their new employees is they say, we don't put our new employees in Disney. We put Disney in our new employees. Like, I love everyone in this, listening should, replace that quote with their company name. Put your company in your new people and make them proud and make them understand it.
So customer service, as you said, is what you do, and customer experience is how you do it. And training and development and the culture that you create in your organization is something that you have to be very deliberate and intentional about and consistent in order for it to be sustained over a long period of time, right?
Exactly.
All right. So tell me a little bit about your book, John, The Customer Revolution. It just sounds so radical, You're starting a revolution. Tell us a little bit about what inspired you to write the book, and what are maybe 3 key things if any of our listeners that are listening to this episode have never been exposed to the book, why should they decide to go and purchase the book? Like, what are 3 top things that you think they'll be able to take away from that book?
Well, so the customer service revolution is really, the last 20 years of working with the best companies in the world and seeing what they have in common and why they've been able to dominate their industry and not, have to be sucked in on price and be the brand customers can't live without. So the definition of a customer service revolution is a radical overthrow of conventional business mentality designed to transform what employees and customers experience. This shift produces a culture that permeates into people's personal lives, at home, and in the community, which in turn provides your business with higher sales, morale, and brand loyalty, thus making price irrelevant. And so some of the key takeaways in the book, it just talks about how you increase your employees' service aptitude. And one of the best ways is that our clients do, and we help our clients, that everyone listening can do on their own, is the first thing we do with our clients is we create a day in the life of a customer. And it's a video, but you don't even have to do a video. You can just do a slideshow. But the reason is that in most businesses, the customer-facing employee, your employee that's dealing with your customer, is not the customer, whether it be a different age, right? They might be in their 20s, your employees dealing with, 35 to 50-year-old professionals. They might be account executives dealing with CEOs. And, they can't relate to one another. And so, these day in the life of a customer scripts, if you will, help your customer-facing employees understand all the pressures and chaos and demands that your customer may be going through on a given day, and how they're getting hit at home with, kids and illness and, significant other and financial burdens that we have. And then they get to work and the customer demands and their boss and the economy and all these things. And when you can really understand all the things that your customer are battling and how what you do for them impacts their success and their relief. It makes you more present when you deal with them, and it really helps you have more compassion and empathy. So, scripting out a day in the life of a customer before they even come in contact with you. So everyone in your company can better have more empathy and compassion for what your customer is dealing with and how you can come to the rescue. Some of the other things is like, we help companies create a customer service vision statement. And that's different from the mission and purpose. A customer service vision statement is the action statement you have to do every time you interact with a customer, be it 10 seconds. It's about focusing on providing a positive experience on every interaction, whether it's face-to-face, click-to-click, or ear-to-ear. And it might be 10 seconds, it might be 10 minutes, it might be an hour. But it's about, a short statement that is actionable, measurable, trainable, and observable. That, that every employee is reminded of what their job is to do when they come in contact. And so one of the examples, our biggest customer that we've had that probably everyone listening to this, has been to or experienced is Starbucks. So the next time you go to Starbucks anywhere in Cleveland, Ohio, Jamaica, Malaysia, they all wear the green apron. If you ask them to turn over the inside of their green apron, the top inside that's like facing them, is their customer service vision statement that we help them create. And it's pretty cool because it's not for us, the customer, to see. It's for each of their employees to see and be reminded of what their obligation is to deliver to every customer they come in contact with. And
of course, it's put in a location where they can see it consistently.
Exactly. Yeah. So I always ask people, what's going to be your green apron that you can advertise to your employees, that they constantly have to be reminded that you're branding what your service vision is, what they have to do every time.
That is wonderful. So John, you're doing all of these wonderful things. How do you stay motivated every day amongst all of the other things that you're doing?
I'm blessed. I love what I do. So I think that's very important. And trust me, I have bad days and I have, deadlines missed and flights canceled and, kids, the principal's calling me about my kids getting in trouble today. I mean, but, I think it's about the attitude. It's about, how you look at things. And I'm so blessed. And I can't believe I get to do what I do. And I think it's important that we remain as leaders, passionate. The higher we get in a company, the more responsibility we get, right? And which means we can come to work with the weight of the world on our shoulders, and we can wear that and, trying to make payroll. And we just lost a big client, or we just lost a key employee, or, my family isn't, too happy with me because I haven't been in town lately. When I bring that with me to work, I start getting morale issues. The moment you became a leader, you lost your right to complain and make excuses. There's a lot of people counting on me, a few hundred employees, tens of thousands of customers that I can't let them down. So it's my obligation to bring my best version of myself. Otherwise I've just, hurt all of them. And I think when we look at it that way, that we have an obligation to bring our A game. And listen, sometimes I have to be an Academy Award winner. Most of the time I truly, genuinely feel it. But I just, when I bring my A game, when I bring the passion that I have for what I do around the people I do it with and for, things go really, really well. So I just understand that there's several things, and a lot of them we have in common, and a lot of them of the things I have to do on a daily, maybe even hourly basis in my life to not allow me to get on that roller coaster of woe is me, and I got the flat tire, and I can't let that happen. We're all going to get the same amount of flat tires, but some people may dwell on them, and other people may say, God, was I lucky that I got a flat tire after I dropped my kids off at school, and no one was injured, and I was still able to get to work within a decent amount of time, instead of letting that ruin the rest of the day. So it's the thing, it's what I'm feeding my brain. on a daily basis, positive, listening to podcasts like this, listening to great experts, listening to people that, really inspire me and make me think. It's who I hang around with. That is the greatest. I hopefully don't and won't brag about too many things. The one thing I will brag about and I will take credit for is the people I surround myself with. If I am, and I believe we're all going to be known and judged by the people you surround yourself with. And if I am, judged by that, I'm a world champ. I mean, the people I allow in my circle and spend time with, they are positive. They are great husbands and been married for 20, 25 years and great fathers. And those are the people I want to, be, have their qualities rub off on me versus, we all have that friend from high school or college that wants to stay out in the bars until closing time. And yeah, I got to see him once a year and I love him, but I know I could only see him once a year. Right. I don't want that influence on me, more than, the annual, picnic, at July 4th or whatever it is.
Now, John, could you share with us what's the one online resource, tool, website, or app that you absolutely cannot live without in your business?
It used to be Pulse, but Pulse got bought by someone and I haven't been able to find how to do it. But Pulse was an app. They got bought by LinkedIn, and I haven't just been able to figure out. But it had all the magazines and articles and customer service. One place I can go and scan and see everything I wanted to know. From headline news to know if anything bad or good is happening to where I can click on and it's a great story of someone who did something customer experience. So it's a one-stop shop where I can look at 60, 80 different resources, literally in 10 minutes. And then, send the article to myself or send it to a client. I kind of do that traditional where I have now 10 or 20 different places I go to find all that stuff, headline news and all stuff like that. But I do have a really cool customer service app. It's Umail and it's free. So what it does is it's your voicemail. It replaces your voicemail on your phone. If you're in my contact list and you call me, it will pick up and say, hello, Suzanne. John is unavailable right now, but he would love to call you right back. It personalizes the recording for every single person that calls, and it just blows people's mind. They're like, how did you get someone to do that? And so it's really cool. So that's a fun app.
Very nice. Okay, so Umail and Pulse, which was recently bought by LinkedIn, right?
Umail wasn't, but Pulse was, yes.
Now, could you share with us maybe one or two books that have had the biggest impact on you?
Presentation Secrets of Steve Jobs. Anything on Steve Jobs, I just loved his business side, and how his mind worked. And how he his whole mentality was not don't give the customers what they want, give them something they can't they can't live without. I mean, I love that. So Steve Jobs was someone. Anything on Howard Schultz, Starbucks, his latest book Onward, and just how he overcame and anything the guy says. He's the CEO of Starbucks. Just really inspires me. I really like, biographies and autobiographies on the great entrepreneurs of our time and their battles and what they overcame. And you find out that, people have a lot of things in common and no one just fell into anything. And, their perseverance is really, really exciting, stories and motivating stories.
Okay, could you share with us what's one thing that's going on in your life right now that you're really excited about? Maybe something that you're working on to develop yourself or your people? We have
some really good things. So the Chief Experience Officer is the fastest growing C-suite position in corporate America today. While that's great and it's really helping businesses improve their customer experience, the one thing that's missing is education for them. At least in the U.S., there's not even classes on customer service that you can take, courses, let alone degrees, which is really sad. So as they're trying to find and hire these new customer experience officers or chief customer officers, the problem they have is how do they train them? So we rolled out the Customer Experience Executive Academy, and we have an online course and a physical class. that people can take either one, and they come, and it's just, all our methodology so they can be the customer experience officer for their company. So that's the fastest growing thing that we have. And I really love it because we have people as far as, from Qatar and Israel and Australia and all over the world that we probably couldn't have touched before that are getting this information, taking it back, using it in their company. And that really is helping us achieve our mission, which is, to change the world by creating a customer service revolution.
All right. That sounds good. So where can our listeners find access to your Customer Experience Academy?
cxea.org.
And they can have access to availability of the courses face-to-face as well as the ones that are online, correct?
Yeah. So the course is like a year long. And so, it goes from January to December. And, you come to Cleveland each quarter for 3 days. And we only take a certain amount, so the next one starts in January. And then there's, the online that you can start, tonight in your pajamas. And it's the exact same material. Obviously, there's advantages to being in the class physically with other people versus the online. But the online is great because you don't necessarily have to wait. And sometimes your boss or you can't give up 12 days a year to travel somewhere.
Can you tell our listeners where they can find you online?
Yeah. So the DiJuliusGroup.com, the DiJuliusGroup.com, and DiJulius is DiJulius, thedjuliusgroup.com. And you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn at John DiJulius, JohnDiJulius. Follow me, tweet me, ask me questions. Would love to hear from you. Love hear your thoughts. And, a lot of my new ideas come from people sending me great information about what their company might be doing or stuff that they stumble onto.
This has been a wonderful interview. Very short and sweet. And we learned so much information from you, John. We just want to extend our gratitude to you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to just sit here with us today and share all of the experiences that you've had with all of these amazing organizations, as well as the lives of the many persons that you've touched globally. Before we wrap up completely, we always like to ask our guests, what is one quote or saying that you may have or you may revert to during times of adversity or challenge? Do you think you have one of those?
Yeah, I just my fourth book came out, and it's a quote book. I have too many. I love that. I love that question. My favorite quote, and it's the last title of the last chapter of my book, The Customer Service Revolution, and it's kind of what you asked me earlier about, is, I want to live an extraordinary life so countless others do as well. And that's really important to me. And that's my personal mission statement. And it's not just a quote, like it's an obligation. So I don't want to live an extraordinary life so I have more houses, more cars, more vacations. I want to live an extraordinary life so countless others do. And if you think about the greats in our world, from the Nelson Mandelas to the Walt Disney to the Steve Jobs, to the Oprah Winfrey's to, Richard Branson's of the world. And, the impact that they've had on our world and, changing, the world and the way we think. What if they would have said, I just want to be ordinary. I'm just going to mail it in. I'm just going to be average. How much different would our lives be today? And, we have that obligation, and we all have these seeds of potential that we have inside of us. And, the seeds that we don't grow fully, we've cheated others around us. We've cheated our family. We've cheated our neighborhood, our communities, our employees, and our customers. So when I look at it that way, I look at what do I need to do to live an extraordinary life so people benefit. And, it becomes like, more of a burden in a good way. Like I got to eat right. I got to exercise, because if I don't, I'll be, lethargic. I'll be lazy. I'll be crabby. When I get home tonight from work, I want to collapse on the couch instead of play catch with my son. And so, by looking at it from that lens, I feel, responsible and guilty if I don't do that, because I'm cheating others that are dependent on my success.
That's a very fulsome driver and motivator of your favorite quote. And all of the reasons why you gave it's your personal mission statement and it's the reason why it drives you really, really makes sense. I support you 100% on that. And you are right. If you can live an extraordinary life with the aim of making others' lives better, then you'll definitely leave a legacy behind that's even greater than what you're seeing here on earth. So that's amazing.
And I want to thank you for what you're doing. You're a great interviewer, but I mean, listen, I think what you're bringing your people, your audience, is just incredible amount of resources and content that they couldn't otherwise get on their own. So I'm sure thousands of people, have already echoed this, but I think it's pretty cool what you're doing for so many people.
Thank you so much, John. Really appreciate your feedback and definitely your commendation from someone as prestigious as yourself. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So again, thank you so much, John, for taking the time with us today. Thank you for sharing your quote and also all of the great information that you gave us. And I just want to remind our listeners that they can follow us, join our community on Navigating the Customer Experience community on Facebook, or follow us on Twitter at NavigatingCX. So until next time, I'm your host, Yannick Grant.
Thanks for listening. For more awesome resources to take your customer service game to another level, head over to navigatingthecustomerexperience.com. See you next time.